Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan, and today we are going to do a video where we talk about teams that we think that are better or worse than their records. Obviously we're getting to that point of the year where everyone's starting to play contender or pretender, so we're going to kind of go along that route and say a team that we think is better than what the record signifies, and then we'll all go and say a team that we think are worse than what their record signifies. So Tyler, want to start us off?
Of course, I'm very ready to start us off. I'm going to start with one that's a little bit iffy, one that you might not think of, but I think this is true. This team has only won one game, and they won last week. You might know who it is, and yes, it is the New York Jets. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think this team is going to be an amazing team. The record is, like I said, they've won one game, but they could definitely win more. Sam Darnold's been out, and that's been a huge part of why their record shows not how good they are. Think about it, if the Jets could come in and beat the Cowboys just like they did last week, think about what they could have done with Sam Darnold's the other games. This team could be have a lot better record. You look at their roster; they have great players. I mentioned Sam Darnold, Le'Veon Bell, Jamison Crowder, C.J. Mosley, Jamal Adams. I mean, this is just a stacked roster that you just gotta think is going to be better eventually. And even though the record doesn't show right now, I think that they're going to be a lot better in the future of the season.
Yeah, you mentioned a team with a stacked roster. When you say that, what comes to my mind is the Los Angeles Rams, and they are sitting at 3-3 in really a tough NFC West division. Because then you also got Seattle, who's 5-1, and San Francisco, who's 5-0. But I just look at this Rams team and I see so much offensive talent. Yes, Jared Goff is disappointing at times. He's not playing great, but they have one of the best, if not the best, receiving core in the NFL. Sure, Brandon Cooks isn't getting a lot as people would expect him to, but they've got Robert Woods who can make plays. And that's the thing. It doesn't matter. As long as the offensive production is coming and as long as someone is making the plays, I really don't think it matters who it is. Well, unless you're a fantasy owner, but in real football, the fact of the matter is that the Rams have so much talent, especially after the Jalen Ramsey trade. Because what that Ramsey trade is saying, it's sending a message to the rest of the league that we want to win now. We're not throwing in the towel. We are going for it. Because when you give up your next two first-round picks and trade for an all-star cornerback like that, you're in full win now mode. So I think the Rams defense, I think it was alright. It's already solid. Add Ramsey. The secondary is solid. You got Aaron Donald. That defensive line is really good. I know they've had a tough stretch right now, but I think they have the players that could help them get back on track. Because I'm looking at their upcoming schedule. They got the Falcons, Bengals, and Steelers coming up. I think they can win those three of those games, and I think a month from now they'll be right back in the picture with the rest of the contenders in the NFC.
All right, you guys had two pretty good ones, and mine is going to be the Detroit Lions. They are currently 2-1. They tied to the Arizona Cardinals in Week 1 of the NFL season, and this team has been close in basically every single game that they've played. They've had a chance to win. They just haven't been able to pull it off in every single one of these games. Even the games they lost the past 2 weeks. They were on bye. They lost, and they were on bye, and then they lost again. But they were close games against two really good teams. The Kansas City Chiefs, who have probably the front runner in MVP again in Patrick Mahomes, although that's a debate for another time. But they have a great team. You can't deny that. And then the bye week, and then they played the Green Bay Packers, and the Green Bay Packers have been very hot right now. Of course, Aaron Rodgers did not have Devonta Adams for a second straight game, but he still played really good, and that defense is still getting a lot better, and the Lions were able to stay in both of those games. They ended up beating the Chargers, who are struggling right now, but they're still not a bad team overall. They just can't, I don't know what is happening, they just can't win games. And they also beat the Eagles, who are inconsistent. They had some really good weeks, some really bad weeks, so we'll see what happens with the Eagles. And then, like I said, they tied to the Cardinals before. But they are a really talented team. There's a lot of people who are haters on Matthew Stafford. I actually believe in him. I think he's a pretty decent quarterback. He's not going to be like a great quarterback. He knows how to lead a team downfield. He knows how to win games. And he enjoys the game of football. And he's not one of those stud players you'll see Patrick Mahomes make some great throws, great plays, highlight reels. No, he's not that. He just goes out there and does his job. He's got great receivers. Kenny Galladay, a rising receiver. Marvin Jones playing good. So he's got the people around him, and Kerryon Johnson playing well, and that defense has played a lot better this year. The Lions, although they are 2-1, they are going to be a rising team. And unfortunately, because they are in the Bears division, as you may or may not know, I'm a Bears fan. It's not going to be fun for me because I believe the NFC North is the most talented division in the NFL currently. But I think that the Detroit Lions are better than their record. So as we have done better than a record, that's going to stick with me, and we're going to go to worse than their record. And you may or may not agree with me on this one, but I'm going to say the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens are currently 4-2, which is a pretty good record in the NFL. There's really nothing wrong with 4-2. Are they 5-1 teams right now?
The Seahawks.
Seahawks, okay.
Yeah.
I don't think there are many. So they're pretty high up there. There's only 2 undefeated teams, and then we just said the Seahawks. So it's looking pretty good for the Ravens currently right now. But, and I say but, because in the future I believe they're going to fall down a little bit. Because, and I'll start with the quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, he says he's a running back. Lamar Jackson, he's done some great things. He put up some great stats against the Bengals last week, by the way. But he's put up some great stats, and he's looked good. But just like we saw with RG3, people are going to figure out these running quarterbacks. And I think that Lamar Jackson is more talented than RG3 just overall, but they're going to be able to figure him out eventually. Marquise Brown has been injured. We don't know if he's going to be playing this week. We'll see what happens with that. Mark Andrews has been playing well, and along with Mark Ingram. So the offense has the pieces there, but the Ravens, I don't see them being great. I still think that they're in contention to win this division, mainly because basically every single one of these teams in the division are struggling right now, in the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Browns. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do. But the Ravens, they've got the pieces there. It just kind of like what we've talked about with the Falcons in the past. They just can't put it together. Of course, they've put it together. They're 4-2, but I think that they're going to start losing games closely in the future. And whether it's last year against the Saints with the missed extra point by Justin Tucker, anything like that, they're going to lose games like that, and it's going to be detrimental. After I got it. It's going to be detrimental to them and their team. So Ravens are going to be, they are worse than the record, although they're not a bad team by any means. Sorry, Ravens fans. I'm not really trying to take shots, but I really couldn't choose a team, so I'll pass the mic.
Yeah, that's a very interesting take there you have, Jordan. I've got another one that I think is going to be a surprise to a lot of you who are watching this. I'm saying the New England Patriots are worse than that 6-0 record they have. And you're not hearing about it because they're 6-0, but Tom Brady is actually not having quite the Tom Brady type of year we're used to. He's thrown picks in 3 consecutive games now. In the win against Buffalo a couple weeks ago, he didn't even complete half of his passes. Again, I'm not trying to hate or anything. It's just he's not putting up the Tom Brady Patriots offense numbers that we're used to. He didn't throw a touchdown against the Giants. He didn't throw a touchdown in that Buffalo game either. But it's not just Tom Brady. I just don't see the same type of New England Patriots that I saw from past years when they win the Super Bowl and have all those deep playoff runs. I'm not saying that I still think they're the best team in that division, but I just have some concerns when I watch them. They don't look as pure. They're making more mistakes. And I know they don't make their schedule, but they haven't played the toughest opponents, and again, that's not their fault. But I want to point out a 5-game stretch they have that spans from November 3rd all the way to December 4th. This is really tough. Let me read this real quick. They got at Baltimore, at Philadelphia, home against Dallas, at Houston, home against Kansas City.
Got the Jets too, but that's it.
Well, I said it's a stretch from November to December. But the fact of the matter is that that's a really tough stretch right there. And honestly, with this Patriots team, I think they could very well lose 3 of those games. And honestly, maybe more, because honestly, this is a really, really tough stretch right here. I'm just not seeing the same type of Patriots offense that I'm used to. They've got it done all now. They've got it all done so far, but they've played Josh Rosen / Ryan Fitzpatrick, Luke Falk, Case Keenum. I think when bigger tests come, such as Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, Carson Wentz, I think things will go down south for the Patriots. And honestly, I don't even know if the Patriots are going to make the AFC Championship game. I just think as the schedule gets tougher, the things are going to change in New England. I know it's a bold prediction, but that's what I think.
Okay, moving on to the last one now. I am choosing a team that is worse than their record as the Carolina Panthers. So, here's the reason why. Now, you might be wondering, this team has been on fire recently. Why would I be choosing them to be worse than their record? Here's the thing. You look at their schedule from when Kyle Allen has played. They played the Cardinals, who are not so good. The Texans, who are doing good right now, but at that point in the season, we're still trying to find the rhythm. The Jaguars, who although they have Gardner Minshew, are not the best team in the world. And then last week, the Buccaneers. So all those teams, not too difficult. The 4 wins in a row have brought a lot of hype for this team and have improve their record a lot, bringing them to 4-2. But by the end of the season, they do have some more tougher games. They're on bye this week, but then coming off the bye, they play the undefeated right now. The undefeated 49ers. And they got the Packers, the Saints, Seahawks, Colts, and Saints again. So the schedule is going to get a little more difficult towards the end of it. So I don't think this team is going to end out racking out how they are at this point in the season. Although they could be a good team, although also in a tough division with the Saints in there as well. Buccaneers and Falcons not so much this year, but the Saints possibly the best team in the NFC North, in the NFC,
Yeah, I don't think they're the
in the
best team
NFC South. But yeah, in the NFC in general, I think they could be the best team in the entire conference. So that's going to be tough for them to stay on track of where they are right now. It'll be interesting to watch, though. And I believe that is all we got.
I just have a question for you.
So he was talking about the Panthers, and a guy that I've always been really high on is Christian McCaffrey. He's had a great year this year, and you talked about Kyle Allen a little bit, but you didn't mention Christian McCaffrey. So I just want to, personally, right now, I think that Christian McCaffrey would be my MVP pick. I'd have to look into it a little bit more, but personally, I think that he's leading this team without their starting quarterback, who, by the way, I think is worse than their backup quarterback. I think Kyle Allen should continue to play if Cam Newton comes back.
Agreed.
But Christian McCaffrey has, I mean, you can't say he's been the workhorse for this team. You cannot deny that. He's been doing great things. He's scored, I think it's 9 touchdowns already from scrimmage in his weeks. We're not even in week 7 yet. He's played 6 games. So what he's done is absolutely amazing. I'd just like to hear that from you. First of all, I'd just like to say I agree with your statement about Kyle Allen. I think that is very true. I think he should be the starter. He's been playing well. But it's not like Christian McCaffrey hasn't been there the past couple of years when this Panthers team hasn't been good. He's been producing just as much as he has. The stats are better, though, because Kyle Allen is targeting him more in the air, and because he's a backup quarterback, he's getting more rushes, leading in more rushing yards and better stats. I don't think that's true because the amount of big runs that Christian McCaffrey has had this year is incredible. I think that it doesn't, I mean, I believe that their game plan would have been the same with or without Cam Newton. Maybe Cam Newton would have got a few more of those runs, but he was injured to start the season. I think that Christian McCaffrey is just in his true breakout year. He's had some great seasons, but he's playing great football this year. And maybe this whole Panthers team isn't too talented, but if Christian McCaffrey could stay healthy and stay rolling, I think they could ride along him. But we'll stop the debate there.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
One more thing, just about the Panthers.
You can hold it.
Oh yeah, I can hold it.
It's like an interview.
All right. Well, about the Panthers, you're defending them a lot, so I just want to know what you think. How far do you think they can go? Do you think they could make the playoffs, win that division? Because as you're defending them, I'm just curious to see what you're kind of expecting from them.
They're not going to make the playoffs, but
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I mean, they're 4-2, so I'm just asking.
The NFC is a very talented division. I mean, all football is actually it's a conference, but it's very talented. There's a lot of good teams that could present itself in the future, and I think that we'll see what the Panthers can do in the future. But I think there are other NFC teams that are more talented and more of a complete unit than the Panthers. So I think that they will ultimately miss the playoffs. Okay, as you guys can see, there is some debate about who could be better or worse than the record we've been debating. I'm sure you guys have some debates going on in your mind right now. Please let us know what you guys are thinking in the comment sections. We would really appreciate it. Also, while you're there, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Like the video just below that subscribe button, and then go to the right of the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you know every single time that we post a video so you can watch it right away.
Because you want to.
Yes, you should want to. We're pretty great, I think.
We are.
Don't mean to be cocky, but anyways, thank you guys again for watching, and we will see you guys later.
See ya.